Brought to you by Penguin. The Whispers by Heidi Perks, read by Karen Cass, Nneka Okoye, and Helen Keeley. For Bethany and Joseph, always follow your dreams. Prologue. Wednesday, the 1st of January. The body has been found on the beach. At the bottom of Crane's Cliff, a spot that the people of Clearwater know all too well for the few victims it has pulled over its perilous edge over the decades. The detective stands on the stony coastline, not far from where a scattering of fishermen's huts are wedged into the base of the cliff. They are empty, of course, as is often the case at the height of the winter. He has always found their desolation in the cold months quite haunting, and never more so than today. He shudders as he pulls himself away, giving the sockos space to do their job, and starts to walk back along the beach to where he has parked his car. It is on the other side of the stone wall which has been built to form a barrier against the waves that can rise high when the sea is rough. Today the sea is a mill pond. In a few hours' time, there might be some hardy sailors, or even a few crazy paddleboarders out for a New Year's Day jaunt, but right now, the beach ahead of him is empty. He hadn't been called to the scene, but as soon as he heard about it, he had to see for himself. His first case, so many years ago, had found him standing on this very stretch of beach. Though that time it had been the body of a young girl that had gone over the edge. Not a woman. Not a mother. He remembers it like it was yesterday. But then dead bodies are still a rare occurrence in Clearwater. Incidents like this are a shock to the community, just like the one all those years ago had been. As he reaches his car, he pauses and looks back at the cliffs, wondering if anyone else at the station will be asking themselves the question that he is taunting himself with. Could they have known something like this might happen? 3 weeks ago, Grace Goodwin had stood in the station and tried to report a crime, but the officers she spoke with had refused to believe she was right to be worried. And yet his first call this morning hadn't been to wish him a happy new year, but to tell him there was a dead body. Part 1. September, 4 months before. The Whispers started on the first day back of the autumn term. As was often the case at drop-off, a group of mothers from across Year 4 had gathered in the playground to chat. Quite often it was the only time they came together, and it had been weeks since they'd last been here at the end of the summer term, so there was plenty to catch up on. They weren't all friends with each other outside of school, but they liked to drop in and out of the gossip, make sure they were kept in the loop of what was happening inside the school gates. Today they were interested in the fact there was an unfamiliar face hovering outside their children's new classroom. She had a honey-toned tan, sleek auburn hair pulled back into a ponytail, and wore white cut-off jeans that made her legs look incredibly long and slim. Even in her gold strappy sandals, she was at least 5'8". A little girl with dark pigtails was standing by her side. It didn't take long for someone to approach her and make an introduction. And when she replied that her name was Grace Goodwin, she'd done so in the very soft twang of an Australian accent. This was enough to draw each of them over to her, and, intrigued, they fired off questions at the new mum. They soon learned she had moved back to England only 3 weeks ago from Sydney, and that she had attended this very school as a child, as some of them had too. There were a few murmurs that her name sounded familiar. Had she changed it, they asked, to which Grace confirmed she hadn't. But then it wasn't familiar enough that she might have been in their year group, and it was too soon to be asking her age just yet. Grace had lived in Clearwater until she was 17, when she and her parents had moved to Australia because of her father's job. Her parents had returned to England 5 years ago, apparently because of an aunt's ailing health.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?